Hello, hello. I am here with Nathan and Scott from Premier Roofing. This is the Level Up podcast. How are you guys doing today?
Doing well.
Doing great. Happy to
Awesome.
be here.
Awesome. So yeah, I just kind of want to start off with who you guys are and what's your business really about.
Yeah. So I'm Scott Amburgy. I started Premier Roofing in 2015. We're based out of Tennessee, mostly Chattanooga, Knoxville area. Primarily residential roofing with just a little bit of commercial. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Awesome. And I'm Nathan McLeod. So I actually started McLeod Windows about the same time as Premier was started. A little bit of background. I mean, my main background is in kind of the door-to-door sales. But yeah, Scott and I actually decided to join forces a little over a year ago, I would say. So really just trying to build the both businesses at the same time, as well as trying to combine everything and grow into new markets.
Nice. And what originally got you guys into the business?
Well, for me, I was a young kid starting a family. Hailstorm hit close to our town. A couple of my buddies got a job with a local roofing company. Seemed like a pretty good gig, so got into it that way. Started hitting doors, doing the storm work. Had some success. Really found a lot of interest there. So I continued with that. Started traveling some different markets for hailstorms. And then I actually went to work for the other side. I became an insurance adjuster and did that for about 4 to 5 years. Learned a ton of good information there. Took that with my sales background in roofing. And then in 2015, decided to start my own company. And yeah, it's been great since.
Nice.
Awesome. Yeah, so for me, out of high school, I didn't really have any clear direction on what I was going to do. Went to work in the family business, which was flooring, and quickly decided that that was not going to be my path. Kind of went a couple different directions. I was working in a steel factory, went back to school, a little community college for some exercise science type classes and courses. So I was managing a small gym in my hometown, and I met a guy. His name was Barry. And Barry was always coming into the gym, and he's always in a super positive just attitude and rolling in a new Cadillac. And finally one day I'm like, man, what do you do? And he's like, I sell windows. I'm like, oh, okay, that's awesome. And I was reading some books, and I was wanting to get into a sales role or start looking into sales. So I kind of picked his brain a little bit, but yeah, he was like, I sell windows and I go door to door. And in the back of my mind, I'm sitting there thinking like, okay, I never would I do that. So we're just sitting there chit chatting, and he's like, man, I'm gonna tell you something. He's like, I've shared this with all of my family, friends. Nobody really listens to me, but I was introduced to this book called The Secret, and it's changed my life. So I went as soon as he left. I went and bought that book. I'm sure you guys are probably familiar with kind of the mindset, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I'm big on mindset. But anyways, I went and bought that book, and so I started going and looking at different sales roles, going on these interviews. And I go on this one, and it's a completely different company than who Barry worked for, but it was the exact same thing. And this guy's out there sitting with nice cars, nice trucks. I'm like, man, there's got to be something here.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna try it. And before I was supposed to go back for my second interview with that company, I ran into Barry again, and I started, letting him know the interview, the company, and everything. He was like, "Man, that's awesome." He's like, "I know exactly who those guys are. Great company." He's like, "I'll teach you anything that I can." And I was like, "Man, to be honest with you, I'd rather work for you."
Hmm.
And he was like, "Well, I'm in Columbus, and I was living about an hour and 15 minutes away from there."
Yep.
And I was like, "You know what? I don't care. I'm gonna do it." So I was
Yep.
commuting, an hour and a half, up to the office to work with Barry, and then driving around all day knocking doors. So I did that for about 6 months, and build up enough bankroll to move up to Columbus and really take it serious. So that's how I got started. And it was a couple months into this, I committed myself to it. I saw the opportunity. I was not very good in the beginning. I think I made $27,000 my first year, so nothing crazy,
That's
but
how it's supposed to
I was,
work, right?
yeah, right, right. But yeah, I got committed, and here we are 16, 17 years later. And so it's been a journey, but the way that I got into it was pretty cool. I kind of got into the mindset things, and it was crazy how it worked. It was like I went to this interview, it was the same thing, ran into Barry the day before I was supposed to start with the other company.
Yep.
So it just kind of worked out. But yeah, pretty cool.
I'm gonna share a quick story I think you'll like.
Yeah.
Because I can relate really close to your story you just shared there. So, the manifestation stuff, I'm a big believer. The secret, the manifesting, positivity in your own reality, basically. So I was, I was probably 16 at the time. Yeah, I was 16 at the time. No, the car wash. I'm going to share with you. I was a little bit later. It was about 18. I was just about ready to graduate and kind of move on. But anyways, I was working at this car wash, and this younger guy would come through the car wash like every week, and he had a Corvette, which is my dad's dream car. So I kind of grew up kind of with my dad kind of always wanting a Corvette.
Yeah.
Anyways, this red Corvette was coming through, and it was a beautiful car. It was a 1999 Corvette red with a black convertible top. It was just a gorgeous car, and I'd be wiping this thing down and just like envisioning it as if it was my own. I mean, the guy came through so much that literally, I in my mind it was like, how can I get this car? You know what I mean? I was like envisioning that. Well, anyways, I ended up getting to know the guy. His name was Greg Evenson, and one day he came through and it had a scratch up in the front, and I knew how to detail because I worked on the detail side too. So if you pull the paint together and you heat it up just right, you can pull the paint together and get rid of the scratch. It's a really, if you go too far, you'll burn through. So it's really an art to making sure that you do it right. But I said, Greg, I think I can take care of this scratch for you. And he said, well, I've got an appointment with the body shop, and I'd be without the car for a month. So if you could take care of it, that'd be amazing. He's like, yeah, give it a shot. If you screw it up, the bumper's coming off anyways. So I said, so I pulled it around to the detail shop and buffed out the scratch, and he was just like tickled pink. He was super excited about the fact that I was able to do that, and he was able to not have to not be without his car or whatever. So anyways, we got to talking, and he said, Nate, he said, what, I see you here. You got such a positive attitude. I would love to have you, come work for me in my mortgage company if you'd be open to that. And I said, yeah, I'd be open to that. At this point, I'm looking at, maybe going to like a community college or doing something. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I just knew that I didn't want to stay at a car wash because I was in management with them, but they were working me like a dog. You know what I mean? But anyways, so I ended up going. Literally, I had graduated high school. I went and interviewed with him. I didn't hear from him for like 4 months after that because he was setting up his company. All of a sudden, one day I heard from him. So I went and interviewed with him, and literally I was like, yeah, I'll take the job or whatever. He had just kind of gotten started. I was the fourth guy in. He had 3 older guys that were kind of seasoned guys from the business. But yeah, dude, I just killed it. I was hitting the phones, telemarketing. It was really. Anyways, all of a sudden the older guys were crowding around me, listening to what I was saying, and from there I ended up starting my own mortgage company like a year and a half later, and then from there my neighbor was in the remodeling and roofing industry. That's how I got into the roofing initially. But yeah. Dude, we scaled that company from nothing to like 68 employees. By the time I was 24, I had 3 different divisions: the mortgage, remodeling, and a distribution side. and then I
That's
got
awesome.
2008. But yeah, dude, it was a crazy ride. But that Corvette, I
Yeah.
bought that Corvette 6 months later. But
Did you? Well,
it did become my car.
yeah, yeah,
He
yeah.
upgraded to a Dodge Viper, and then eventually ended up with a Ferrari or something like that. But
Yeah. No,
yeah,
that's awesome.
it's crazy manifestation, dude. I've done it my whole life. I can
Yes.
tell you other stories where it's literally worked as far as houses and stuff like that I've
Yeah.
envisioned.
100%.
We've got a really cool property in Minnesota. I'll tell you one more story quick. So it's on Pokegama, and I ended up buying this land for 4 acres down the road. I wasn't on the lake, but we had a boat on. I had rented a slip, and we had a boat on this lake. And there's a property. It's a peninsula, and it sticks out on the lake. It's like a perfect point. And it's all sandy. It's just beautiful. It's gorgeous, right? Nobody really knew who owned it. It's just kind of like one of those things where the owners that owned it never really took care of it, never came up there. So it kind of just became like a community beach. So boats and stuff would pull up there, but it was a really, really cool property. And I ended up doing some drone footage. I put a drone up there and like recorded it. And I always had it in my mind, like, gosh, I would love to find out who owns this property and just get more information on it. In my mind, I'm like, God, I would love to own this thing, but
Right.
it was out of reach. But yeah, we own that property today. It's mine. I purchased it like 4 years ago. I can tell you that story later, but it's cool how the manifestation and just
100%. That's
works,
awesome.
man. It's definitely
Oh yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned you own the Corvette now, right?
I own the Corvette, and I actually have a newer one now. I have a C8, so that's pretty cool too.
Oh yeah, no, that's awesome. But yeah, I mentioned Barry was cruising in on the new Cadillac. That's what's sitting
Yep.
out front.
Hey,
So
nice.
yeah, I'm real big on that.
You, man, let's go.
I love
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Maybe
Absolutely.
it's a Nate thing. We're both named Nathan. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and it's funny because Scott called me. He's like, "Hey, man, we're doing a podcast." I'm like, "Okay, never done one before, right?" And it's we have a goal. I could walk over and grab my goal over there, but we're looking to take our business to 25 million,
Yeah.
and I believe that's close to where you guys were, and I'm like, man, who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe Nate's gonna teach me something, and maybe I just manifested this. So who knows? But always, absolutely.
Yeah.
I kind of have a similar story to the lake, not quite like that, but when I first got started, managing running my business, long days, and I'd come home to my house, and I lived in just your standard neighborhood, and I love to fish. So I would after work I'd go hit these ponds in my neighborhood, and the best pond was surrounded by houses, and I would always think to myself, this would be sweet. If I had one of these, I could just walk out back, and I thought about it every time I was there. But I never put any like stress behind that thought. It was just a thought, completely forgot about it. And it was maybe a year ago. I've lived in my new house for about 3-4 years, but maybe a year ago it hit me.
Yeah.
And we were looking for a new house, and I was walking through this neighborhood, walking through the model house. The guy brings me through the new street they were just opening up, and the first property was right next to this big, beautiful pond. And I'm like, man, I want that one. So I put my deposit down on that. But I was fishing one day with my son, and I'm like, holy cow, I had this thought before. This is the house that I wanted. So then I was quickly like, man, I got to start thinking bigger. I need to be thinking about the Florida house, driving the Bentley to the boat slip. And but it's crazy how it works. And when you can do it without putting that stress behind it is one of the things that I've really noticed. That's when it works.
Yeah. Don't ever underestimate yourself. Have big dreams.
Yeah.
Reach for the stars, because if you do it and you put the work in, be consistent, and the universe will open up and introduce you to the right people. It's just a matter of do you take those opportunities and run with them, like I said. So yeah.
Yep.
So cool to have you guys on, man. That's great. So,
yeah, that's awesome.
have you manifested some stuff like that, Scott?
Yeah, I mean, in my own way, so similar to the car thing, the Teslas were coming out when I first kind of got started. Um, had some people that I knew in the business that were driving them, and something I was always very interested in, and I never really thought about it in the manifestation area, but I guess in a way, because yeah, I was able to purchase one about 5 years ago and love it, as well as just a lot of different things about when I was working for other people that I envisioned maybe I would do differently for myself, or things that I would like to do. And then when that time came, I saw them through and kind of stuck to my principles on it. So yeah, in a way, for sure.
That's great, man. What kind of Tesla do you have?
I got an S
Nice.
model. Yeah, yeah,
My
it's
buddy,
it's a lot
my
of fun.
buddy, my buddy Kelly ended up taking me for a ride. He bought one of those Teslas too, and he did the self-drive, and I was just blown away. I was actually kind of scared at first. I'm like, man, this no way. Like, what if this thing?
Yeah,
It's
Right.
pretty
yeah.
wild. But yeah, it's
It takes some time to get used to, but then once you get used to it, it's hard to go back. You're like, oh man, I get in my wife's car. I'm like, I have to drive. This is terrible.
they're fast too. That's
Yes,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love the initial go on them, man. They're quick.
yeah,
A lot of fun to drive. Just a fun car. They did a good job.
I'm manifesting the Cybertruck for sure. I'm gonna have that thing one day.
Oh
There you
yeah.
go. There you go.
Those cyber trucks are the perfect billboard.
Yeah,
yes.
right?
Uh, yeah, you see the companies that wrap those, and they look sharp. They grab the
Yep.
attention. But that's a perfect billboard for sure.
For
I
sure.
agree.
I couldn't agree
Absolutely.
more, yeah. Because it's so different. I mean, obviously it looks a little weird, right? Like everybody can understand that, like, whoa, what is this thing on the road? But that's honestly
Yeah.
what I like about it, because it's so different than anything else that you'd ever see on the road, and then
Right.
obviously the capabilities are pretty much the same as any other truck, except it can beat like a Porsche or whatever, you know what I'm saying, off the line. So I don't
Yeah.
know, I think that's such a cool vehicle, right? The engineering behind it is just awesome. So I'm
Yeah.
For
definitely gonna
sure.
have one of those for sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
Talk
Sweet.
about
Well,
a guy. Talk about a guy. Doing it big. Elon Musk, man. That guy is. It's crazy. Some of the stuff he's been able to accomplish too.
Right. Right. See, for me, I gotta hit these steps,
Yeah.
to believe. I gotta hit these little, I can't go straight to Mars. I gotta go kind of build myself up. But and I notice there's people like that. They can go from here to here. If they have that belief.
yep.
For me, it's been a lot of stacking small wins over time. But yeah, I mean, if you believe it, you can achieve it, 100%.
Yeah, and the big thing is there's two things behind it. Obviously, there's failure with growth too, and learning, and not
Yep.
not giving up on yourself and going back. I mean, I certainly had my fair share of peak successes, and then, like I said, losing it all in 2008. That was a very humbling experience for me. But I had to dust
Yeah.
it off and go back and do it bigger the next round. It took some time. Don't get me wrong. I was definitely depressed for a minute there, and
Oh
it was
yeah.
like really kind of crawling into a cave and not wanting to come back out. But yeah, you just gotta do it again. So once you got that entrepreneurial spirit in your blood, I don't think you can get rid of it. It's pretty
No.
tough.
Nah.
Yeah, it's a good thing. It's got its ups and downs, that's for sure. But a lot of
Oh
people give
yeah.
up too, like when they start something. I always kind of like, I always describe it as it's like a beautiful flower or something that's growing below the soil, and
Right.
it takes time. It's deep. It's a seed. It's nothing, and it takes time for that seed to eventually come up. And by the time it hits the surface, that's when a lot of people are giving up, moving on, and
Right.
they give up on their dreams and stay stuck where they don't want to be. But if you push through, that's when everything happens, and it's like that in business too. You
Yeah.
have to go through the trial and errors and continue to keep fighting the fight every day.
Oh yeah. I talk about that all the time with the sales guys. There's highs and lows, and I mean, this business will beat you up sometimes.
Oh yeah,
I've had some pretty low times in this business. But one thing that I've noticed too is right on the other side of that low is the growth.
Yep.
You know, if you can push through that, it's like that test. You know, it's testing you, but on the other side is the growth. You know, but I've definitely noticed that those tough times, you know, on that other side, that's when we really made some jumps.
So it builds
Um,
the
e-
character, right?
oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, as recent as last February, it was one of those low times, you
Yep.
know, and then March came around and jumped up, um, kept that momentum. You know, we were down here, kind of rode it up, and were able to keep that momentum. Um, we went into July. July was typically one of our slower months. You know, in the 8-9 years we've been in business, we've July's been one of those slow months several years. Um, Not sure why, but this past July we had our largest month in business ever. So
Well,
you know, it went
Nice.
from yeah, it was super crazy. You know, it was a wild ride. But yeah, you can't lose if you don't quit.
Yep.
So you just gotta keep going.
so
Nice.
so you
Well,
guys mentioned you have separate divisions right now, and eventually you want to come together as one. What when you
Yeah.
when
Yep.
you mentioned that success, Nathan, what were you like? What did that come from? Is that referral business of just compounding growth, or do you guys do marketing, or where would you contribute that big that big month to?
It it would be just most likely advertising. I mean, we did really well with advertising, a lot of referral business during that time. Uh, but I would say most of it is just the team that we've built. You know, Scott was doing this himself. I was doing my thing. You know, and we decided to come together. We added a couple other partners, and you know, started delegating some things. I mean, that's always been something that's been really hard for me. You
Yeah,
know,
mm,
I've always wanted to have my little pulse on everything. So it's still tough. Scott will tell you, you know, it's still tough for me to do that. But you know, bringing like even with Scott, like for me, I get, but Scott's very firm like myself, but I'm quick to jump off the rails where he's a little bit more level headed and can you have a problem with the manufacturer or something. That's where Scott can jump in. We brought in Andrew, who's just like a social media genius. I mean, his videos are awesome. His advertising's awesome. Something that we don't know. You know,
yeah,
we're old school. I got my folders and everything. We also brought on Steve, who does brought in the CRM. Like we didn't even have a CRM. You know,
yeah.
my CRM was old lead slips and everything. I'd be sitting there calling the old leads from that. So a lot of it was just the team that we built with that, and we've definitely been doing a lot of testing with advertising. But recently, I've found some good success with social media, as well as the other forms that we were doing.
That's
nice.
great, man. What are you using for a CRM? Out of curiosity,
Oh, we're using Proline.
Proline, and you both share the same CRM right now.
Yes, well, we share, but it's two different divisions. Like you said, we have a window division and a roofing division. Um, and I think Nate and I's path and trajectory was very similar. And with both of us individually running our companies, after a certain time, you hit a certain point of revenue, and then we both began to start to plateau, right? So it's like, well, what can I do to continue that growth? What can we do? So, we actually grew up in the same town together, known each other since we were elementary school kids, reconnected, and then decided to bring it together, and it's working out great because it's helping both of us in areas where we needed help, right? As well as for me personally, kind of relit that fire that I had on day one. Not that I was
Yeah.
losing it, but it's almost like, hey, now we're starting a new venture, right? So you get all
Yeah.
that excitement, you get those new sales and new markets, and it just feels like, you're really doing something again. And then to Nate's point, yeah, just building a team. That was my problem. I tried to, I wanted to answer the phone, I wanted to handle the sales calls. I kind of was touching every single point of the company, and there's just only so much I could do. So we needed to let some of that responsibility go, delegate that to people who that's their expertise, and it's helped us a lot in growth. And we're in the process of, but we're building a great team around us, and I think that's where we're going to see, the most success.
That's amazing, guys. Have you guys tested like any of the AI stuff yet? Have you utilized any of that to help manage some of that?
Starting to dabble into AI a little bit, looking for assistance, inbound, outbound calls, different things like that, scheduling. Starting to dip our toe into AI. We see it as the future. In a few years, I think if you don't have it and if you're not using those practices, you're going to be falling behind your competition. Not a whole lot, but we're definitely starting to.
Yeah.
We have a little bit of a head start on that, so that's some stuff we implemented with the last
Okay.
round, and I've been pretty actively involved on the AI. So we'll share some of that with you. Hopefully,
Yeah, it'd be awesome.
if we can help you guys, we'd love to do that. So
Yeah, absolutely.
we could definitely schedule another call and show you some systems and stuff that I think you'll be blown away by. But
Yeah, that would
you're
be
exactly
awesome.
right. I kind of refer to like the Blockbuster. Blockbuster Video. They thought they were untouchable. They were even approached at one point by one of the big streaming services to merge or get bought out or whatever.
Netflix, I think it was.
It was a big
I think
offer, and I think
Yeah.
they turned it down, but they thought they were untouchable, and there ain't no Blockbuster left. They're gone. So
Right.
I think AI is that as well. If you don't evolve and adapt to it, you're just not gonna be able to keep up with the competition. Period. Because they're just gonna outwork you with AI. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's awesome. I think that's where the search is going too.
Right.
As far as our customers, that's where they're searching now. I mean, it's amazing what that thing can do. I mean, you ask it anything and it's giving you an answer. Hey, give me a plan to grow my business. It's giving you an answer. Find me this company. It's amazing.
It is. It's wild.
Yeah, all I use is ChatGPT nowadays. I don't even use the Google search because it's just a step longer, right? You have to go through and search and look exactly what
Right.
you want to find.
You got to do the work still.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, geez, they got self-driving cars nowadays too, and
Right.
who would have
Yep.
thought when we were younger that would ever be a thing, right? Or I guess I'm not old, but um, like back in the day, I guess,
Who would have
Yeah.
thought 10 years ago?
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Right.
So, yeah, man.
Right.
I mean, and that's what I think that's really cool about the world, though. Like stuff is consistently gonna evolve, right? So, you gotta always be adapting, and I think that's good because it keeps you on your toes, right? There's some guys that just aren't willing to adapt, and that sometimes you get left behind. I know my
Yeah.
grandpa still texts me on his little Nokia or whatever, and he texts are just hilarious that come through, But,
Sure. Yeah.
yeah, so it's just exciting to see the new
It's
technology
like you
that.
guys said though. You gotta delegate sometimes. I'm a dinosaur when it comes to this technology, but I'm not afraid to get help from young guys like Boston and his buddies that just all right guys, I got the idea. Let's put it to work
Yeah.
and let them go to work on the technology side. But yeah, they're some of the stuff they can do. I can hardly figure out how to put my phone on silent or mute it out. But these guys
Yep.
they help me with the computer stuff and the AI and all that stuff. But we got a pretty good team on the back end. So I would love to introduce you to the team someday. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I'll definitely take you up
that's,
on that 100%.
That's Nate and I. We're great with coming up with a thought, but then we got to hand it off to put it into action. We're like, hey guys, this is what we want. Now you guys put that into motion.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So where's your vision? Where do you guys want to take the company? Like, what are some of your dreams as far as manifesting this into? Like, what's your end goal with it?
So,
Go ahead.
really, so right now we're in the growth phase. Looking at hopefully in the next, 5 to 7 years, build it up to a certain value with an exit. So our goal is the exit. And now we're trying to build the company in a way that's most attractive to potential buyers. As far as numbers, we're probably hoping to get to 25, 30 million plus gross. And then at that time, start looking at, options. And we're trying out a lot of different things, to Nate's point, social media. We do a lot of different things for marketing, as well as, kind of we see a vision that kind of transforms the industry a little bit, especially on the Windows side. We're looking at some different virtual options and things like that, where you're kind of antiquated. Hey, we're going to have someone come sit in your living room, high pressure sales for 3 hours. We're looking at different options where always kind of compare it to like your Carvana. Hey, you don't have to come in, don't have to haggle. Just request a quote. We'll be able to set up a virtual call meeting, go over our product. And then, that's on you to decide what you would like to do. But we got a lot of ideas and plans for virtual growth, as well as your typical, brick and mortar boots on the ground, as well.
That's cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can definitely help you guys with some of that. Nathan, I don't know if you want to touch on it too, add to anything that Scott had said there.
No, I mean that's pretty much spot on. We're kind of running your traditional home improvement businesses. We still do some door knocking, still very effective there. But the virtual, so it's virtual view windows, and that was just a thought last year. Today we have sold windows in Washington D.C. We've sold windows in Kentucky. Raleigh, North Carolina, Boise, Idaho. So, all of this in the last 6 months, and we've done it all completely virtually. Still relatively small, but we've built it up, we've proved it, we've had the success there, and it's especially in Windows. Windows isn't like your insurance roofing. I mean, it's a true retail sale. It's a true, we're going to the kitchen table. So many of these companies are trained to be in the house for 3 hours, do that high pressure sales pitch. And some people get scared. They've had that before. They know they need Windows, but I am not sitting through that again. So it's an option for that. And we see that as maybe a potential home run, but either way we're going to that 25 plus, regardless if it's virtual or kind of the traditional style. But as of right now, they're both working, so it's been good.
That's awesome though. It's you're able to increase your market visibility that way too, because you're all across the whole United States. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if you do a good enough job of just getting your face out there and getting people to recognize you, it's gonna work. You know what I mean? It's just about
Yeah.
actually trying it, trial and error, and figuring out the best way to do it. So that's really cool. I really like that. That's like it's crazy nowadays, like the online businesses, right? Kind of like what he said with the Blockbuster. Like it used to be people just walking into Walmart to get what they needed, and now you can
Right.
just order it off Amazon and it comes straight to your house. So
Yeah.
times are changing like that too. So I'm sure it's good that you guys are ahead of the curve on that for sure.
Yeah, I love that. You guys are on the right track. Yeah, it's definitely looks like you're definitely going to need some help on the AI technology side to implement some of that stuff.
Yeah. We're gonna have to set up that call 100%.
Yeah, if you do it right, you're definitely gonna be all right. On the scaling to exit side, I've met with a lot of venture capital groups towards the tail end on my buyout, so I can tell you a little bit about that. But the biggest thing that they were looking for with us, as we were going through that process, if you are the company and you're wearing all the hats and you're doing everything, they do not like that. So
Nope.
you definitely need to delegate and separate yourself a little bit. It's hard to do. I'm a big guy too, where sometimes it's just easier for me to just go in and do it myself. But
Yeah.
you gotta be really good at learning to delegate some of those tasks and get it off your plate, because ultimately, if you are the company, they will not want to buy it, because if they're buying you essentially, and if you're not there,
Yeah.
the company's gonna have it's gonna be trouble for them for it to continue on. So. That's one thing there. Are you guys are doing a combination of retail? Are you doing any storm at all still too, storm
Yeah,
work, or is that?
yeah, we do a little bit of storm, and we plan on attacking one in our new areas this spring, just wherever they hit. Obviously, when any local storms hit, absolutely, we
Yeah,
go after it. But haven't ventured out yet to new areas where storm hits. More so, just working them locally. So I know you know the money, the volume, it's a great, easy sale. The storm work, I've done it. I've traveled with a lot of companies earlier in my career. Um, but it's also, it's not the most stable sort of income, right? And you really got to have a great team and great systems to be able to implement to come to a new area. So I've always focused more so retail, just been, bringing up your normal day-to-day roofing customers as well as return customers. And then when the storms hit, try to take advantage of that as well. But back to the business part, something I've heard, the old saying is, if you left your company for 3 months and it still operate or not? If it can, great, you have a business. If it can't, well, then you just own a job, right? So we're trying to get out of that mindset where building the team to be able to function without us. Sure, you need us for big decisions, things like that, where we need to be there, but really building it to where it can run day to day without us being a touch point.
yeah,
Yeah. And that way you're not like a slave to the company too, right?
Right.
Because
You
if
can work yourself into the ground quickly.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly, and get overwhelmed that way. So it's nice to be able to, step away and still see the growth there, right? I'd assume, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean we've been over a lot of good stuff. Obviously we touched on the vision where you guys kind of want to go with the business. Um, if you could give one piece of advice to someone just starting out in your industry, what would it be?
Good question.
It's a great question.
Um, you know, uh, you believe in yourself, believe you can do it, right? That's one thing I always struggled with, and I think a ton of people struggled with. And when I first started my company, everybody's, are you ready to start your own company? What does that take? Like, it, as long as you're willing to work and you know what you're doing, it doesn't take nearly the capital that you think it does to get going. Just don't be scared of doing it. Believe you can do it, because if I had listened to everybody else, I'd still be working for someone else. I had to believe in myself and believe that I can do it and be willing to take that risk, right? If you don't take risks, there's not going to be great rewards. Sure, you could just work your 9 to 5, and if that's what you want to do, great. That's a phenomenal, career and option. But I just never had that mindset. I always wanted to work for myself, and I believed I could do it. And I think that self belief is what allowed me to, get to the point that I'm at.
Yeah,
I love that.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'd kind of go back to what you said, Nate, earlier. You see so many people quit like too soon.
Yeah.
I would really tell people, give it time. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, really get in there and learn as much as you can. You don't take a loss if you're learning.
Yeah.
Like I said, my first year was no, nothing crazy, but I was learning in that process. And the next year, hey, I made an extra 10 to 15,000. And the following year was the same thing. So it was very slow. I mean, I knocked doors for 3 years before I even stepped foot in a house to sell.
Yeah.
So just always be learning. Give it time, and there's great money in ownership,
Mm-hmm.
but that doesn't mean that that's the only place that you can make money. I made very good money, when I got into the sales role.
Yeah.
I think you can find the right companies to actually grow a team within that company, and really focus on growth. So don't I see a lot of people. I feel like exit a company too quick and go start their own, and
Yeah.
it's a whole different ball game. I mean, you
Yeah.
can really learn a lot. You can grow a good team within, if you're in the right business. So you don't always have to go start your business, and it doesn't have to be right now. I mean, I worked for a company for 8, 9 years, and that was my schooling.
Yep.
So give it time. I mean, learn and just like I said earlier, if you don't quit, you can't lose. So
Yep.
Exactly.
I love
that,
that you.
guys.
I love that you don't lose, you learn. You know,
yeah,
that's probably one of the biggest ones that I've gravitated towards, just really following through with in my life, I guess, right?
yeah,
And I use that for everything. Anytime I'm failing, I'm learning. So it's not a bad thing, you know. And I think a lot of it's about perspective too. Like if you just have a good mindset about it, and even the bad things you turn into good things, I think it helps the overall process a lot to kind of streamline you and make you a better person, I guess, make you better at what you do. So.
yeah, absolutely.
Where can people find you, follow you, in kind of that whole thing? I guess like socials and then maybe a website too as well.
Yep. Premier Roofing Services .com. Premier Roofing for all your socials, and then Nate, what do you guys got?
Yeah, so at McLeod Windows for all socials would
Okay,
be the best place to find us.
sweet. And then what was that website tool that you were talking, or the window tool that you were talking about? Where can they find you for the online windows too as well?
That's virtualviewwindows.com, and then you would also find McLeod Windows at McLeodWindows.com.
Beautiful, sweet guys,
All
beautiful.
right.
It was a pleasure having you guys on the podcast today. We'll end the recording here.
Appreciate y'all having us on. Nice to meet you.